guys, this is Stephanie and I'm Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. That is how you begin a videothon. Welcome to day 1 of the Spring to It Videothon. This is a videothon that I'm doing with 5 other channels where we will be posting a video every day during the month of April. I will link the prompts down below. If this is something you think you want to do, please join in and let us know because we want to watch your videos too. You can post them on the same day we do, or if you feel like posting them after us, that is okay too. And I will link all the channels below too of all of my wonderful, amazing co-hosts. We have Brees and Reviews, Brooke Clark, Christina's Journey, Danny Buxton, and The Story with Serenity Dawn. So before I get started, I want to tell you guys, happy Easter. If you're watching this on the day it comes out, it is Easter. Also, happy April Fool's Day because it's April Fool's Day too. Really, it is Easter and April Fool's Day. I'm not fooling you on the... You know what it is. So today I am fan casting my favorite book that has not already been adapted into a movie. Now, I have lots of favorite books. I'm the same way with movies. I have so many favorite movies, so many favorite books, so many favorite TV shows. I have a really hard time picking like one. So I picked a favorite book, a book that I really enjoy that has not been turned into a movie, and that would be The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. Now, if you haven't read these books or any of the books in this series, first of all, read them because they are fantastic fantasy. Second of all, I won't be doing any spoilers or anything, so you are safe to watch the whole thing. So this is a book where basically the good guy and the bad guy have fought and the bad guy won. So he is now ruling this empire, and we have a small group of people that are the resistance, and they don't like the way he rules, and they will oppose him. So that's like the 10-second version of the synopsis, but there's also this incredible magic system in this book, and that is why people love Brandon Sanderson's work, because he can write magic systems like nobody's business. He keeps it super consistent, and he just adds more and more levels and interesting things about it, but he never like defies his own laws. I really hate that in books where they're like, and these are the rules. And at the very end, it's like, but I can break this rule this one time. And I'm like, but those were the rules. You broke your own rules. That is not cool. Brandon Sanderson does not break his own rules. So it's really cool. Basically, you ingest metals. And when you ingest a metal, you have, you could say, a superpower. So a Mistine is a person that can ingest one metal and have one power. It's very specific. So if I can ingest tin and I can see really well, none of the other metals are going to benefit me at all. I just get one superpower. But if I am a Mistborn, that means I can ingest all of the metals and have all of the powers. So some of the people in the group are Mistines or Mistborn. They have powers and they are up against something that is impossible for them to win. And it's just a great book. And it actually is a trilogy. And then there is a second, apparently quartet that is done. The first 3 are done. I thought it was going to be a trilogy. And there's going to be one more. So I haven't read those yet, but I need to do it. I'm not going to hold this up. My arm is getting tired. So the first character we follow in the book is a man by the name of Kelsey Er. Now, Kelsey Er is, I would say brazen would be a good term. Basically, he is a Mistborn and he is not afraid to show people he's a Mistborn. He's not afraid of the mists at night, which people are afraid of. And even though he is in this very dark, like world, like oppressed place, he smiles and he tells jokes and he has this jovial sense about himself. In addition to which, he's still a very strong man and he can be like menacing when he wants to be. So I thought a good actor for him would be James Marsden. Now, I have gotten James Marsden confused before. Marster, he is in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Marsden is in X-Men as Cyclops, the older X-Men, not the young ones. And he's also in Hairspray. He's Corny Collins and lots of other things. I think he would be a great Kelsey Er. He definitely has like a smirk about himself, and I could really see him like bulking up a little for the role so he could be a little more intimidating maybe, but generally having this laid back, yet I can kick your can attitude, I think he'd be great. The next character I'm going to talk about is Vin. Now, Vin is a street rat, basically. And at the very beginning of the book, I'm not really spoiling anything, she finds out that she might be a misting and might have some superpower inside of her. But she is about 17, I think, at the beginning of the book. So she's kind of a street rat, but she also is in like a street gang. But she's a tiny person, like she's very slim and slight and just has straight dark hair, and she cuts it short like a boy's and does what she can to like fit in and not have people see her, because she doesn't want to get like taken advantage of or raped or anything like that. So she does her best to kind of be one of the guys, but at the same time, she is tough. So for her character, I went with Elisa Vikander. Most recently, she's probably known for being in Tomb Raider, which I saw the other day, and I liked it as a really solid, like, action piece. It was pretty good. I think she really fits the build. She is small, yet strong and kind of scrappy. Plus, I like her as an actress. The things I've seen her in, I have really enjoyed her in. Next, we're going to have Elend Venture, and Elend is part of, like, a privileged family, you could say. He also is, like, he's good looking, but he basically is always reading. This is probably why he's one of my favorite characters. He's always reading. He has his nose stuck in a book all the time. Like, he'll go to parties, like balls where people are dancing, and he'll get a table in the corner and like stack all his books around him and read his books. I'm like, oh my goodness, will you go to a dance with me? That sounds great. But I wanted to get somebody who was attractive but believably intelligent as well, and somebody who can be unassuming when he needs to be, and then be big brave man when he needs to do that. So I decided to go with Armie Hammer. And he's been in lots of movies like Lone Ranger. He was in Social Network. He was in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He's been in a lot. And I think he actually would embody that character pretty well. Now, I want to slip a little side note in here. If you've read the books, on some of these you might be like, they're not the right race. Like, there are definitive like races of people in these books. Like, some of them look more like this, or they dress more like this, or they have like darker skin. These people have lighter hair. Like, there are differences, and some of those in these characters in this book and in later books come into play as important. And later you're like, oh, I see it now. But I couldn't necessarily find the actors to that kind of fit that profile. So I'm basically picking my actors based on how they would do in the movie, outside of the whole like skin tone, race, and all that kind of stuff, because I'm just picking good actors. I just couldn't try to choose actors within those limitations, so this is what I chose. The next character we have is Sayid. Now, Sayid is this very religious terrace man. It's one of those ethnic groups that I was kind of talking about. And they're not super descriptive on what he looks like outside of the fact that he is tall. He can be really, really strong. And he wears like robes a lot. And I'm not going to give too much away about his character. He's, again, one of my favorite characters. And kind of figuring out as you go is the good thing with him. But the entire time during the book, I was envisioning this actor in my head as Sayid. And that is Naveen Andrews. And the only thing I know him from is Lost. He played the character of Sayid in the TV show Lost. I can't think of anything else he was in. So I would cut his hair because I don't think he's supposed to have long hair. But I could just see his face, and he's supposed to be very like sage and wise and peaceful. But at the same time, he can be very strong physically. He's a great character. He has all the answers, and I love him. The next character is Brees. Now, for Brees, I wanted to pick somebody who can kind of be like funny and the comic relief when they need to be. Also, he has to be a little portly and a little bit older. Like, most of these people are I'm going to say they're early 20s to mid 20s, and Brees is like in his late 30s to early 40s. He is older than everybody, definitively. And I went with James Corden. He's the British guy with the TV show, and they do like Broadway crosswalk stuff. He was in Doctor Who. He's been in lots of stuff. He's a really, really funny guy. But I would have to have them make him look older because he doesn't quite look old enough. But I think he would be a great Brees. He'd be able to be funny when he needs to be funny, serious, which he's not a lot, but serious when he needs to be serious. And I think physically he does well embodying the act. My next character, who I also really liked, man, I just like all these characters, probably why it's one of my favorite books, would be Ham. Now, Ham is a guy who is stronger when he has pewter, so he like gets stronger and bigger, and he also lets off a lot of heat, so he likes to walk around like in vests or shirts that he's like tearing the sleeves off, stuff like that. And he's a big dude, and he's really muscly and strong. He's a thug, basically, and that's his superpower. And Ham is like oddly intellectual. Like, he loves to have these intellectual conversations and political conversations, and like these psychological conversations, and yet he's this big broody man. And I really enjoyed reading about his character, and he has way more depth than they give him in the first book. So if in the first book you're like, I don't see the appeal, read the other books. He gets better. He's great, but he gets better. I kind of envision my husband in this role, quite honestly. Like, he's a big dude. He works out a lot. He can lift obscene amounts of weight, but he really is a softie on the inside. But my husband is not an actor. So I'm going to go with Dave Bautista. He is Drax in the Guardian of the Galaxy movies. So he's the kind of pinkish red guy with all the carvings all over his body. I think he used to be like a wrestler or something like that, or a boxer or something like that. So he's like a big dude, and I like him better in the second one because he's not as angry. In the second movie, he's more apt to laugh. And Ham isn't super jokey, but he's also not super serious. He can be serious when he's having these intense conversations, but outside of that, he's just kind of a laid-back fellow, so I could see that actor doing that. The next person we have who's in the crew would be Dachshund. Now, I love Dachshund as a character. He is kind of a lesser character in the first one. You get to know him better in like the next book, but I really liked him as a character. He shows that he's really kind and organized at the same time, and that he can easily overcome obstacles. And he's kind of a softer spoken guy. And I wouldn't say he has a big presence, but once you have a conversation with him, it's something that you're going to remember. And so for him, I went ahead and cast Mark Ruffalo, who I love as an actor, and I think he would be great with this part. Now, again, they'd have to age him up a little bit, gray him up a little bit, because he's a little bit older than everybody else, but all in all, I think Mark Ruffalo would hit this out of the park. Our next character we have is Marsh, and Marsh is actually Kelsey Er's brother, and Marsh is like helping Kelsey Er a little bit with this whole rebellion thing, but he's kind of undercover for the bad guys, and at times you're like, is he a bad guy or is he undercover for the bad guys? I don't know. And there's a lot of history there because, well, they're brothers. So we needed a guy who could be physically larger than his brother and stronger than his brother and be intimidating like pretty much the entire time. So I went ahead and went with Michael Fassbender. He is Magneto, but the young Magneto in the newer X-Men movies. I hope you know what I'm talking about. He's a really fun actor. I think he would perfectly embody Marsh. Next person in the crew we have is Clubs. And Clubs is, again, a little bit older. He's pretty no nonsense, and he's kind of housing the gang. So he has a lot on the line, but he's a pretty stoic fellow, though he is kind of a bigger guy. So for him, I went with Mark Strong. Now, Mark Strong, I feel like he's a bad guy in a lot of things. What I saw him in most recently was Kingsman, which he wasn't a bad guy in, but I feel like he's a good actor. He can go either way. He can be the bad guy, he can be the good guy, but anytime he has this like strong silent feature, and that's kind of how Clubs is. Now, Clubs has a nephew that they nicknamed Spook, and Spook is this teenager. He's about Vin's age, so he's like 17-ish. And he's kind of gangly and awkward, and he wants to be part of the crew, and he knows enough that he should be part of the crew, but he doesn't have any like special talents or anything, so they're kind of like, well, I guess you know things, so you can be here. So he's an awkward teenager, and again, his character does evolve as well. But for him, I went ahead and cast Cody Smith McPhee, and I think the thing I know him best for is, again, the X-Men, the reboot. He is Beast, the young Beast, who's like just learning to control his powers and stuff like that. And I would actually cast him make him look a little younger, because I think he's in his mid-20s and I'd want him to look younger. But he would do really well with the part. I think he would be able to embody Spook really well. And the last member of the gang I'm going to be talking about is Yeadon. Now, Yeadon is the man of the people, and he is the one who wants this rebellion to happen and save these people. And so he's a man that can inspire, but he's also a man that he thinks he knows what he's doing is the right thing, and there's a chance he might stab you in the back to get what the end goal is done. He also is a little older, so I went ahead and I cast him as Jared Harris, who's been in lots of stuff. You might know him best from the Sherlock Holmes movies. He was Moriarty. Also, he was in a few seasons, I think, of Fringe. I think that he would be able to embody the I'm an old guy, but I'm a little unstable and can do what I want type of thing. I think he would knock it out of the park. And the last person I'm going to cast is the Lord Ruler. He is not part of the gang. As the title suggests, he is the big bad. He is the Lord Ruler. And for this, I'm going to go with Ben Kingsley, who's been in like everything, Gandhi, everything. I think he'd be a great Lord Ruler. Now, there is a little thing with the Lord Ruler that I'm not going to tell you about. And some of you read the book be like, I don't know if that's the best pick for it. Well, I can't pick differently unless I spoil things, and I'm not going to do that. So for now, we're going to go with Ben Kingsley, who's an amazing actor. I believe an Oscar-winning actor, and he would be a fantastic Lord Ruler. Now I have one more category I'm going to cast, and this is a character that is super in the background, but I wanted to cast him anyway. He shows up more in the second book, and his name is Osir. Now, my Osir is right here, actually. This is Osir. Osir is a dog. Are you a puppy dog? Are you a puppy dog? I know what you are. Who kind of looks like this, only bigger. She's about 35-ish pounds. See? She's about 35 pounds. And I think Osir is like, Osir. I think he's like, I imagined him bigger, like the size of a German Shepherd, but he looks like this. He is a brown dog who looks like this. You can go. She loves being on camera. What a ham. Hi, sweetie. She's like, I do love you, Mumsy. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but my dogs are British. But he is also a character that I really do enjoy. I think he shows up at the end of this. I might be wrong. He might not show up till the second book, but there you go. A bonus Osir fan cast of my dog. So that is it. I actually did a ton of research. This was super hard for me to do because I get a face in my head sometimes and I can't get it back out. And then sometimes I get the wrong face in my head and so I did have to call in and phone a friend and have some help on this one. I want you guys to comment down below. First thing I want you to comment about is if you played any April Fool's Day jokes this year. I kind of want to hear about them. And the second thing is, what book would you fan cast? I would love to know about that. And then the third thing is, if you have read this book, who would you cast differently than me? I would love to discuss that down below because I had a honey of a time getting this one done. Also, check out all of my co-hosts down below. Everybody's links are down there. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to come back tomorrow because I'll be here. You'll be here. I'll be here. We'll be here. Come see me tomorrow. Bye.